So on the count of 3, they're going to release these doves. One of them is ready to get out of the hand. The other 2 are basically slumped over. So 1, 2, 3, they release it. So she releases the one, and it takes off, but it can't be 6 feet above the ground.
Oh, wow.
And it's just hovering across the cemetery. The second one takes off, and it has life, and it goes immediately to a tree limb. And the third one goes, whoosh, boom, lands on the ground right in front of them. And she looks at her brother, Jimmy, and says, kick it. And Jimmy has a high school flashback of a drop kick.
Oh, no.
Jimmy takes a step back.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Hey Now Bound podcast. We're Southern Storytellers. I'm Philip.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Randy.
Excited about this one. It's been a long time coming. And I hope that you're not going to let me down. You've never let me down.
Don't put pressure on me, Randy.
You guys are solid.
No. Randy is solid.
I don't know about that.
I'm not.
He's pretty solid.
Are you sure?
I feel sketchy.
No. Sketchy you are not. Sketchy you are not.
But I'm not going to reveal too much. We've got a lot of stories today and I've only heard one of them. And it's a great one. It was part of the negotiation for you to be here this morning.
You're already building it up.
If you're unwilling to tell that story.
No, I'll tell the story, but you've already built it up to the point where I may not be able to carry it like that.
You got to carry it. You got big shoulders. You're a big dude. And then also, real quick, because Lindsay's not going to be able to stay, but this is Lindsay. And so Lindsay is your video editor. She edits the Hey Now Bound podcast videos. You didn't know that, but here she is. And just a quick note on Shane. He had to go do real work today.
He's got a real job.
He's got a real job. He had to go do real work.
And she has a real job.
That's right.
But the 3 of us do not.
A lot of people would definitely agree with what you just said.
I know a lot of people that would. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the storytelling. And we have a couple of gifts we're going to do here in a little bit too, but I want to tell stories first.
Got it.
Let's do it.
Fire it off. No. Just tell me a story.
You want me to tell the one you asked me to tell? Let's start with that. Let's start with that.
Just in case it's not any good.
Yeah.
Or you botch it.
Yeah.
I love you.
No pressure.
I love you. Well, do I need to tell that I'm a pastor? Would that help?
I think you just did.
Okay. I'm a pastor. I had 2 deacons that were chronic critics to the point to where they would meet me in the parking lot every Monday to critique my sermon.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. And I'm not talking about like every other Monday. I'm talking about every Monday.
They were faithful.
Religiously, Pharisaically. And they would wait on me. And I'd pull in the parking lot. And I remember the first Monday I saw them there. Hey, guys, what's up? You got a minute to talk? We went in my office and, hey, why did you say this? Or why did you say that? And I realized they were there to critique me. And they did it for months. Months. And finally, one Monday, I was probably not in the spirit. I wasn't there.
It happens.
I was in the flesh. It was full bore Ryan Whitley. God had nothing to do with it. I said, hey, I got an idea. Let's go in my office and let's chat. And we went and we sat down and I took a pen and piece of paper and I said, what did I do wrong yesterday? They started telling me, so I started writing it down. I wasn't writing it down. I was just scribbling. And after about 10 minutes, I go, okay, I got a great idea, guys. Why don't we get on our knees right here? There's a sofa. I said, I'm going to get in the middle. And that guy's going to remain nameless. Let's call him Bill. Bill, you get right here. And Joe, you get right here. So they were on both sides of me. And I prayed. And I didn't pray to the God of the Bible. Didn't happen. Not sure which God I prayed to, but it wasn't our God. And this is what I said. And it was cold-blooded, but it worked. I said, God, every week I preach your word to your people for your glory. And I'm trying to decide, who do I listen to? Do I listen to you or do I listen to Bill and Joe? Man, the oxygen left the room at that moment. I mean, big time. Well, one of the guys got up and left right in the middle of my pagan prayer.
Oh. Goodness.
And the other guy stayed with me and prayed. He had the audacity to pray. And I have to tell you, it felt so good just to get that out of my system.
Yeah.
And I got home that evening and about 5 o'clock, the guy that left knocked on my front door. And I went to the door and I said, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm coming to apologize. And he said, I will never critique a sermon you preach again. And I will never offer any insights or criticisms. And he didn't.
That was it.
Wow.
That was it. The other one continued to critique.
He
me.
did for real?
Yes,
wow.
he did. However, and this was 30 plus years ago. Both of them are still good friends. Both of them became good friends.
They still talk to you.
Oh yeah. One of them has asked me to do his funeral. Yeah. Yeah.
Did he ask you to pray over his funeral too?
That's a good one right there. And so I wouldn't recommend it to every pastor.
Correct.
But I'd had enough.
Well, our flesh is strong.
Mine's is real
Showing
strong.
It's strong.
Mine gets in the way.
Yeah.
Mine gets in the way.
But is there a lesson here? Because we like to tell stories with lessons. Is there a lesson for maybe a deacon or somebody in a church today that loves to critique a pastor? Can you take us in the mindset of a young pastor?
I have a lesson for a young pastor,
Okay.
and that is don't be consumed with your own self-importance. Because I would never do that today.
Right.
I would never humiliate. I'm beyond humiliating.
You got a little more wisdom today.
I hope I do.
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also learned that when you are criticized and when people want to critique you, just submit to it. Just and be genuine. Is there anything else that I've said or done that's offended you? And if it is something that is your personality, it causes you to offend them, ask them to forgive you.
Wow.
And if it's something in God's word that offends them, open the Bible and say, well, let me help you with this. And I have plenty of experience.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Oh, man, do I ever. So there's my deacons.
I love it. That was just, you told that to me. And so you were one of my, I guess we're revealing who the people are now in the room, as we usually slowly do. But you taught me in seminary. That's how we first met.
It is.
New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. And you told that story as one of our class, I think it was supervised ministry 1 or something.
Yeah.
And I just was tuned in to the whole story.
Well, and I got an addendum to that. There was another deacon in that same church who was a state senator, and he was revered. I mean, everybody in the state knew him. And I loved him. And he was one of those Southern senators. He always had a cigar in his mouth, but he never lit it. He never lit it. He just
like
chewed.
Will Smith.
Yeah, he's kind of chewed on it. And a subsequent,
No, I don't like it.
and a subsequent deacon's meeting not too long after that, I humiliated another deacon.
Oh,
Yeah, just
see a trend here.
It was,
Yeah.
and I proceeded just to put him in his place in front of his peers. And the next morning, I called him Senator. Senator called me and, Ron, have you got a minute where you can come and chat with me? And my office was across the courtyard of the courthouse to his office. He was an attorney. And I walked over there and I walked in his office, small in stature, but big in influence. And this was his question when I walked in his office. He goes, Ron, why do you have to be so mean? And that was a defining moment for me. And he proceeded to tell me, he goes, you embarrassed that man. You humiliated him. He says, you don't have to be mean. I can't say that I stopped being mean that day, but it influenced me the rest of my ministry.
Put you on a good trajectory.
It did. It did.
Randy, when we talked the other day, I said, bring me some stories. I'm ready for the first one.
For the first one. So the first story that I have was I served 9 years as a student minister. And, you build a lot of relationships in that time frame.
Sure you do.
Well, part of that was...
If you don't humiliate them.
Yeah.
I'll just take a note out of your playbook.
Yeah, thank you.
But so what we did was we would oftentimes do like a college and career trip. And so the bunch of these kids like, hey, we want to go to Gatlinburg, for New Year's, and we want to go ski and we'll do all this. I said, okay. So we planned it all out. We get there and apparently there is a snowstorm coming. So we've got a little bit of time. And so we go into town, we do our deal, and we go and get our skis, and we're doing all that stuff. Well, we have about 10 of them with us. So it wasn't a real big group.
Sure.
But it was just enough. And we get there, and the first girl goes down, tears her ACL.
Oh.
So she is being slid down on this little backboard all the way down to the
with
bottom.
the ski patrol.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So there's casualty number one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I make it to the top. My wife and I get there, and you know that if this is your first experience, getting off the ski lift is a challenge.
Experience.
Yes, it is. So we get off, and I get up just enough where I can coast out of the way. Well, she tries to get off, and she gets stuck, and she falls. Well, now it's time bound. You got to get out of the way because the next one's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets out of the way finally, and we're crawling or whatever. And she's like, this is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing this. So she takes her skis off, and she's getting ready to walk down. Now, we're at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
So she getting ready to walk down. Well, another one of our students comes, and he gets off, and he's excited. He goes, Locust Fork Baptist Church. And then he jumps down, and all of a sudden, you see his legs go. And right in front of us, he tears his ACL. And so there's casualty number two. And I looked at my wife. I said, I think we're done.
Yeah.
And so we get him and we scoot him all the way down to the bottom. They get medical attention or whatever. So we go back to our place. Snowstorm comes. We're on top of a mountain. You know how those mountains are when you get there, And so we're frozen. You can't get out. You can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by this time, there are a lot of people walking up the road, and they're walking back like to their cabin because they couldn't drive up the hill. And there are people just walking by. So we're standing in the road just talking to them, whatever. And there was a lady and two girls who walk up with a group of people, and we're talking with them. Well, they got stranded, and they didn't make it to the place where they're going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So they were walking up to stay with somebody. I said, well, you could just stay with us. I mean, we're right here, whatever. Well, so we got these strangers coming into our house. And we didn't know who they were. So we were talking with them. Well, she was from Great Britain.
Oh.
But she was living in Texas, and she had two of her children with her, I think 14 and 10 maybe. And they come in, and they've got groceries. And I said, well, you can put your stuff in our refrigerator. So
you become Mr. Hospitality.
All of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, you're just in time. We just made dinner, and you're welcome to eat with us. And I said, we cooked breakfast. We've got sausage. We got bacon. She said, well, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I said, you are?
Well, there we go.
I said, well, we got
We got some Oreos.
I said, what'd you bring? And they said, well, we're not practicing. I said, what does that mean? She said, we can eat bacon. I said, what? And just go for it.
Welcome to the cabin.
So they came in, and so anyway, things were very awkward because you don't know who these people are, right? And you're kind of like curious of what is the real story? Is this a Hallmark movie in the making?
Yeah.
Right.
And so now kids who are not with us are texting in, and now they're beginning to fill our minds with all the horror stories. And so it's time for bed. And so we get the girls out of their room and move these new couple into their room. The girls come into our room, make pallets on the floor. My niece is part of that group, so they're in there with us. The guys are in the living room, and now they're like, but what if she gets up in the middle of the night and she unlocks the door and her husband comes in?
Might be too late to be thinking that, but go ahead.
Oh my goodness. And so then I was paranoid, and I don't get paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I got nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, you're going to have to help us in this. We're trying to do the right thing.
We're praying now.
We're trying to do the right thing here, but it worked out cool. We woke up the next morning. They were good to go. The ice melted. And listen, it took forever for that ice to melt. I was like, Lord, please send the sun, send it, and finally it melted, whatever, and they got out of there. But it was just a wild time, It was the last one I went on, by the way.
That was it.
We did not go on another trip. I was afraid that if we did again, who knows what would happen.
A lot could have happened, Randy. I'm going to be honest.
You're exactly right. That reminds me of a snow. You know how snowstorms sneak up on us here, you know, and well, they don't sneak up on us, but the two that have, one of them, I decided to be Mr. Hospitality because there's some people stuck, a lot of people stuck on the road outside of our neighborhood. And I'm just out looking at enjoying the snow, right? And there were like 6 people. And I said, hey, can I help you? And they said, yeah, someone's coming to get us. And I said, well, look, why don't y'all come to my house, right? And I come to the front door and I open it up and I look at my wife. Our kids are at school in college. And I go, hey, I've got some company. And here I bring 6 strangers in the house and they don't even know each other. Right. And they're in my house for 5 hours until people come up individually in 4-wheel drive trucks and all that kind of stuff to pick them up and leave. So it passes, and my sweet wife looks at me and she says, "Don't ever do that again. Don't ever bring a complete stranger into my house again." And I go, "You bet, baby.
Yes, ma'am.
I will never do that again."
One and done.
I sincerely apologize. Next snowstorm rolls through, right? I'm back out on the same road. We lived out in the country at that time, treacherous road. They're not going to clear it off. And there's a woman trying to drive up a hill in her car. And I'm like, well, actually, my car was stuck and I'm walking home. And I stopped, get her to roll down the window. And I said, "Ma'am, don't even try to go up that hill." I said, well, she said, "Well, what do I need to do?" I said, "Park your car right there, put on the emergency brake, lock it, and walk home." And she says, "Well, I live 5 miles from here. I can't walk home." And I'm right around the corner. Right. And I hear my wife saying, "Don't you ever bring anybody in my house again like that." And I'm thinking, oh, sweet Lord, what am I going to do? And she looks at me and she says, "Do you live nearby?" And I'm frozen. I don't know what to do.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and figuratively. I hear a 4-wheeler coming, and this kid is having a ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's sideways, he's spinning it, and I flag him down. And I got to say it the way he did. He goes, "Hey, man, you need my help?" And I go, "I sure do." I said, "You see this precious woman? She needs a ride home." He goes, "Where do you live?" And she tells him. He says, "Hop on. I can take care of you." And she goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah." And I looked in the back of her car and she had a blanket. So she unlocked her car and I wrapped her in that blanket. She's on the back of the 4-wheeler. I wrap her and she has this look. And she goes, "Thank you so much." And that 4-wheeler goes right off that way. Before they leave, she looks at me and she goes, "I just figured out who you are." And I said, "You did?" She goes, "Yeah, you're the pastor of Cross Point Church." And I go, "I sure am." She goes, "Thank you." And away she goes, right? I get home and I'm proud. I look at my wife and I go, "Baby, I could have brought a complete stranger to our house, but I didn't." She goes, "That's a good thing. You saved your marriage by doing that right there."
Whoa.
That night, my wife's on Facebook and she goes, "Hey, do you know this person right here?" I said, "No, let me see." And I go, "Oh yeah, that was the lady on the road." And it said, "I would like to thank the pastor of Cross Point Church for coming to my rescue to help me get home." I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know the kid that took her home, but I was the hero that night.
You're just being obedient to your wife.
You just sent her off with a stranger.
Yeah. I was a hero to the stranger and to my wife.
Win.
Wow.
That's what that's
there.
called.
Look at there.
Now, Lindsay, you've been really quiet over there, and I know this was an impromptu visit for you.
Yes.
Do you have a story that you would like to share with the world?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All the softball you've played and athletics, you don't have a win story or a debacle story that you would like to share? I saw some amazing plays. Your mom was faithful.
What position did you play?
Third base.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The hot corner.
I saw her pick up some bunts that were on the plate, and she was still able to throw them out. It was
Really?
Unbelievable. Those one-hand grabs,
Yeah.
in motion.
All in one movement.
Yeah.
Right. ESPN? Were you ever on ESPN Top 10?
Once.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Tell
You
us
were on
that
it?
one.
You got it. Well, that's your story.
Tell us about the take
no,
us to the play.
that's
That was
have you ever been on
Holy smokes.
ESPN? Have you ever been posted on ESPN?
No.
You ever been posted on ESPN?
I've been
Okay.
posting on YouTube because I do it myself.
gosh.
Here we
okay.
go. This is big story.
So we were playing at home.
UAB.
Yes, UAB. Played softball at UAB.
Go Blazers.
We were playing at home. It was my freshman year.
There you go.
We were playing Alabama. We might have been down by about 8 runs, but that's irrelevant. So we were just trying to get out of the inning. And I think it was a pinch hitter, actually. She gets put in to hit, and she hits a foul ball over my head down the foul line. And I don't know. I really don't know how I caught it. It was one of those where you like turn around and like just stick your glove out and hope.
You did the Willie Mays? You don't even know who Willie Mays is.
I don't know who that is.
You threw your glove up in it.
Yeah, and I just fell and it landed in my glove and it was awesome.
Wow.
And that
Worthy
ended
of
up on ESPN.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
big.
The sound. I love the sound.
That's big. That's
So
big.
everybody's got a story.
You better bring it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of identifying it,
Yeah.
letting us know about
Well,
it.
I'm not a good storyteller, but every time someone tells a story, I have a story.
That's the beauty of storytelling.
And I don't want to go one up, but I have a great story I have to tell from my scholastic days in college.
Oh.
I crammed 4 years of college into 7. And I will not mention the beloved institutions, but I attended 3 different universities before I graduated, and that's another story. And I have a degree in marketing, and the mathematics requirement in marketing was calculus 1. I can't even spell calculus, right? And I took it my freshman year, the first quarter, and I made a D. And I went to my advisor and go, hey, does that count? And they go, yeah, you'll graduate with that, but you shouldn't be proud of it. And I passed it, right? And so I made an F first time. Made an F.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
The advisor probably would not have said you passed.
And so I took it the next quarter, and I knew it well enough to get a D. Right? Went to my advisor and I go, hey, does that count? You go, yeah. So FD, right? And I leave that institution and go to another one, and D's don't transfer. They count for credits, but they don't transfer. So I'm at the next institution, so I have to take calculus again. What did I make? The third time I took calculus, an F. Yeah. So I go and I take calculus the fourth time, and what did I make? A D. I'm good. I'm going to graduate. I got it. I decided to transfer to my third institution, and D's don't transfer. So I'm 4 deep on calculus, right? I take it the 5th time, I made an F. I take it the 6th time, I made an F. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to change majors because all my other classes, I'm escalating toward graduation, right?
They're at least above a D. Yeah.
Yes. No, I was a solid C student in college. Solid.
C's equal degrees, baby.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I'm in calculus for the 7th time. And the professor walks in the first day, and it's one of those that's got 75 or 80 students in it. And he is from Asia. And you cannot understand a single word he says.
Those are the worst.
And and I'm thinking, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
And I'm thinking, wait, no, this is calculus. And so it's calculus, and you can't understand what he's saying. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm thinking, this is not going to work. Yeah. This is not going to work. And it was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. That was on a Monday. I decided to go back on a Wednesday just to take one more shot at it. And instead of 80 students in there, there's 12. This vacuous room with 12 people. And this is what he said. And I am no way making fun of him. I just have to say it the way he said it.
Okay.
He goes, thank you for staying in class. It happened every time. Because you here, I spot you 50 points on every test. Well, I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, but I did whatever I usually make plus 50.
That'll get you there.
Let me tell you how far it got me. I made an A
That's
the
what I'm
7th
talking
time I
about.
took calculus.
Hey.
And I would turn in a test, and he'd give it back a few days later, and it'd say 43 plus 50, 93.
Wow.
That's probably my greatest educational accomplishment, is to make an A in calculus.
Wow.
And I say that unashamedly. FD, FD, FF, A.
A.
Incredible.
Finish strong, baby. Finish strong.
That's it.
It's not how you start.
No, it's not how you start, but it's also persevering to the end.
That's it.
right.
That's it.
And finding the right professor.
Yeah.
And one of my parishioners, who I pastor today, was in that class with me 40 years ago.
Small world.
A long time ago. Made an A, calculus.
Did they make an A as well? Did y'all ever talk about it?
Yeah. Everybody made an A.
Hey,
If you get
50
spotted
points.
50
That
points.
helps.
I was not good at math. Shane's the math guy.
Oh, he is?
Oh, my goodness. He was an engineer. He took all the way up to differential equations, which somebody will correct me on this. I'm pretty sure that's the highest kind of normal class in math that you can take.
Why would you do that?
Because he had to as an engineer. One time, we're running around during this time, hanging out all the time. And he said, I got to go home and do this math assignment. I said, how big is it? He says, 4 problems. I said, dude, we can go hang out.
Yeah,
4 problems. It's not a big deal.
Before you go to bed.
He said, let me just show you the assignment. Not a number in it. Not a number in the assignment. And I said, this looks like an English exam.
Is it a bunch of X and Y
it's
equals Z's
letters
and
and
squares and letters
signals,
and,
symbols. Look like more like hieroglyphics is what it looked like.
See,
I said, how long does it take you to do one problem? And he said, one problem may be 5 to 10 pages of work.
Good grief.
It was unbelievable. And I just said, buddy, good for you.
My brother's doing engineering right now, and that's about what his homework looks like. Like he bought a whiteboard, like a big giant whiteboard on Amazon, and he has that thing filled with equations and stuff.
So for my engineers and mathematicians out there, just know you'll always have the respect of PB.
Oh, boy, you have my respect.
Good grief.
Yeah, I have 3 math teachers in my church, and they're unbelievably smart, gifted. Their brains wired differently than mine.
I'm creative minded, not concrete minded. And I think you've got to be pretty concrete minded to do that. Well, Randy, tell us another story. I can straight us off with
first,
that.
I just want to say I'm thankful for online banking because that keeps my checkbook straight.
They do your own math for you.
I can't even do all the other math. So I'm thankful for that.
I would agree.
So one of the craziest things growing up is you got to make sure that you have eyes on your kids. You can't just let your kids just do whatever. And I was one of those kids that, I was the youngest of the bunch, and there's 8 years difference between me and the last one. So by the time I came around number 4, they're like, you know what? We're tired.
Just let him do what he wants to do.
Surely he can survive. The rest have survived. Surely he can. Right. So they just kind of let me I had a lot of free reign. And, with that comes a lot of bad decision making. Mm-hmm. And one of the first times that I remember a bad decision being made, I was probably about 8 years old. And we had this really steep driveway, concrete all the way down. But when it got to the end, it just dropped off, and then it continued to go downhill. There was chert there, and then turned into grass. Mm-hmm. You just live out in the country, man. That's just what you got. Mm-hmm. So I had this real bright idea because we had a nice driveway going down. At the very end, we built a little ramp.
There we go.
And so it got me a wheelbarrow, turned it upside down.
That's wonderful.
Found a piece of wood. I said, man, this is going to be great.
Wonderful idea.
So I get up at the very top of that hill, and me and my buddy, and I said, man, this is going to be awesome. So I had a scooter, and the brakes didn't work on it, but it coasted. And so I got on that, and I just got one little push, and you just get over the hump of the hill, and then all of a sudden I started going down, and I get going faster and faster. And it was at that point that I realized I'd messed up. Mm-hmm. It was too late to bail.
No.
There's nothing that I could do. So I'm in it. And so I go and I hit that round. And I go and I see the scooter come up. And then all of a sudden I go over the scooter. And then I land Pete Rose right into the gravel.
There we go.
And here comes the scooter behind me. Da-doom, all the way down the hill. And I raise up. And at this point I'm numb. It doesn't hurt yet.
Adrenaline's great.
Oh, man. And when I look down, I'm just scraped from chin all the way down to my belly button, and I've got rocks all stuck in my skin. And so I go inside. Now, my parents were home, and they were in there. I think they had company there, whatever. And so I walk in the front door, and I said, Mama. And she said, what? And she said, what happened to you? And I couldn't tell her, And so I go in, and she starts picking those rocks out of my skin. It was terrible. But just crazy things like that happened, when I was a kid, being unsupervised. Mm-hmm. One time, me and my cousin were at the house, and my mom was working night shift, and so she was sleeping. And the day before, we had some construction folks at our house, and I noticed they had a pack of cigarettes. So we snuck over there, and we took one cigarette out a piece, and we hid it. So when we got home the next day from school, my mom was still asleep, still had some time, and I said, hey, let's go out here and we'll smoke us one. Mm-hmm. So we go behind our utility house, and we go and we light it up, and we smoke it, man, feeling like we're men.
Yeah, you've done it now.
And so we're done. We throw them down. We go back inside. Everything's fine, Well, then I see my dad coming down the driveway, and I've never seen him drive so fast. I was like, what's wrong with him? What's going on? And then I look outside, and there is smoke billowing out now behind the utility shed. And I was like, what's happening? So we go outside, and now I realize we had just been smoking out there, and now it's on fire. There was an old wood pile that was there. It was all rotten. It was all dried out. So we run out there, and I panic him, and I goes, go get some water, go get some water. So we're throwing it. He said, boys, do y'all know what happened? Well, what do you think I said?
You lied.
I said, no, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. I don't know. I don't know. Right. And so we get it, and we put it out or whatever. And he's upset. And my dad owned a company, and he's like, somebody came out here to set this on fire. They were trying to be vindictive. And I said, man, I don't know. And he said, were y'all smoking? And of all the questions that you could ask somebody, why would you ask that?
How old were you?
Oh, probably 10 or 12.
Okay. I said, smoking what?
I said, no, sir. how was I going to get something to smoke? Right? That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Not thinking that I smelled like smoke.
Mm.
Never crossed my mind.
It's not a good thing.
Never crossed my mind.
not a
So
good
he
thing.
said, well, if you didn't smoke, he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm fixing to call the cops. And they're going to come out here and they're going to investigate this. So my dad called the cops. They come out there. They investigate it. Because he's thinking, I'm telling the truth.
And you're still standing on the lie?
Boy, I'm
And you got the police out there?
well, I don't know what to do
I
now.
thank the Lord he called you in the ministry.
Well, praise the Lord for
You'd
that,
be
right?
a reprobate right now.
So he said that they found 2 cigarette butts. And I felt like he was lying to me. Because how could that caught on fire and those not burn up?
How'd they survive?
Yeah.
It's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Oh boy, and the cigarette butts were still there, right?
Mhm.
But anyway, so my dad was now convinced that I had lied to him. And he was right. And so he brings me inside and he looks me straight in the eyes. He said, I'm going to ask you one more time. Were you smoking?
It's never good.
And so at that moment, I knew I had to tell the truth.
Right.
And I said, yes, sir.
Right.
And the look on my dad's face, and all of a sudden, smack!
Oh.
He smacked me in the face.
Did he really?
And I felt my soul leave my body when he did that. That was the last time that I ever received any type of spanking, or my dad had never done it, slapped us or nothing like that. But that was the last time my dad ever had to discipline me for something. And I'm proud to say that today I have no desire to smoke cigarettes.
Well, I wouldn't either.
No desire.
What about lying?
Well, that's another story. That took a little bit longer for that one to kind of work out.
It sounded like he slapped the lie out of your soul. That's what it
he
sounded
did.
like.
He did, and I had never felt more disappointed in how I lied to my dad. He was disappointed.
Absolutely.
He was hurt, and I had never seen that in my dad before, and that taught me a lesson.
That's painful.
That was painful.
Yeah.
It taught me a lesson, and so
Yeah.
I don't worry about cigarettes anymore.
And he did you solid.
Oh, he did. He did. I'm so thankful for that, that he did that. And, my dad was a great man, and I appreciate the discipline that he gave me in that moment, because he spared me from a road that I didn't know was bad, right? That could have led to whatever, but he protected me in that. And I'm, looking back, I'm thankful for that.
So many people look down upon discipline, that you shouldn't discipline whatever. I mean, that's society. I think probably more people than not choose to not discipline because they think it's going to hurt the child or whatever. But this is the commonplace story. And I'm not here to get on a soapbox of promoting discipline. But the discipline that I received, every single one of them, thank you, Mom and Dad. I think what you're saying is the same thing. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't seem like it would produce that. But in the moment, you probably didn't like your dad very much. But now today, as a grown man, you're thankful that he...
No, I did. I did in the moment because I knew.
Really? I
knew,
never liked my mom and dad in the moment.
I knew I was in the wrong, right?
Yeah.
I deserved any type of punishment that was going to come. I deserved it.
Yeah.
I knew that I did. Now, what didn't deserve was a time that my dad punished both of my brothers. So my dad had always had these tactics. And so my 2 brothers were fighting and they were just getting after each other. And so my dad said, here's what we're going to do. He said, I want both of you to get on all fours and face each other. Now, while I spank him, I want you to laugh in his face. So he spanked one brother and he's just laughing at him, whatever.
That's
and then he says,
cold-blooded.
okay, now it's your turn.
That's cold.
And so he went and spanked this brother. And then this over here got the laugh in his face. And my dad would do stuff like that, but he was trying to teach them, a lesson in that moment. Now, I don't know what that lesson was because I was a little kid. At that point, they were probably 15. I was probably like 7. But I learned so much from them, right?
That's
I
the
learned
best
what
lesson
not
to
to
learn.
do
Right.
in many ways. But then sometimes, I did my own stupid stuff too, right?
Yeah.
As a grown man, that's one of my pursuits. I try to now learn my lessons through others' punishment. When I was younger, I never tried that.
That's an inexpensive experience.
heard that.
Absolutely. But
Look
that's
at
my
you.
goal now.
Good word.
Thanks.
Tell us another story.
Well, I'm the youngest also. And I'm the youngest of 4. And the oldest in our family is 10 years older than me.
Okay.
All four of us have a great relationship with one another. And I too smoked a cigar one night. Swisher Sweets. Yeah. And I don't know how old I was, 15, 16. And I foolishly came in that night and left them on top of my dresser, right? And the brother that's closest to me in age was home from college. He was a freshman in college. And it's a Saturday morning, right?
Mm.
All is good. We're both eating our Fruit Loops and we're watching cartoons on TV, right? Perfect Saturday morning. And my mom comes into the den with that pack of Swisher Sweets in her hands. And she looks at me with tears streaming down her face. Out of the 4 children I've given birth to, you would be the last one I would expect that would do something like this. And what did I do? I lied. I lied through my teeth. I said, Mom, those are not my cigars. I said, those belong to Jimmy, who was my best friend. And he knows how disappointed his parents would be if they found them. And I said, well, here, just let me take them home. I told that straight up lie, right? My mom's still weeping. What does my brother, who's a freshman in college, do? He walks over there, grabs that box of Swisher Sweets while my mom and I are having this exchange, goes to the kitchen, gets a pack of matches, puts a Swisher Sweet in his mouth, lights it up, and comes back and is watching us. And he's agreeing with my mom. She's right. You should have never done this. He's smoking a cigar in front of my mom. So I freak out. And I look at her and I go, what about him? He's smoking a cigar in front of you right now, Mom. And she goes, he's old enough to know better. Besides, he's in college. You should never do this to me. I will forever remember that moment. He thought it was hilarious. And that's the way he is. He's an agitator. He's gonna poke the tiger.
Poke the bear.
Oh, he's gonna poke the bear big time. Big time. But one of my favorite.
Did she find out? Well, you can't leave us right there. Did she find out that it was a lie? Did you remain steadfast in your sin? What did we do?
I probably remained steadfast in my sin. And
well, somebody else over here talking about mine. Wow.
Disappointing your parents is difficult.
You want to know how difficult it is? Are your children old enough to disappoint you yet?
Oh, they're born.
Yeah, but that level of disappointment is not to the level I'm talking about. You really, I figured out what it's like to be a parent when both of my kids, independently of each other, crushed my soul with a decision they made. And that night, as I'm sitting out on the back porch with my wife, and I look at her and I go, how, individually, how could they have done this? And she said, we did the same thing. And I took a long thought there and I thought, is this the way God feels when I sin against him? Mm-hmm. Is he crestfallen like I am right now? It was a teachable moment for me. And I remember subsequently since then saying, God, I don't ever want to disappoint you. I don't want to do this to you. When I'm from a football family. My family loves football, athletes in my family. And the brother that's closest to me, when he was at college, he played football. And my parents got me a car. I love that car. It's a great car. And they would go to my games on Friday night where my oldest brother was one of my coaches. How neat of an experience is that? We got stories to tell there forever. And if my other brother was playing close enough, they would leave the game on Friday night and drive to where my brother was going to play on Saturday and spend the whole Saturday there. And I had it figured out that if he played a night game, they would come back on Saturday night because my mom was an organist in our church and my dad was a deacon, right? They got to be there on Sunday. They can't skip, right? And I would do the math in my head, not calculus, just plain math.
Right. And
they would say, I'd say, hey, what time do you think the game's going to be over with? Oh, they'd say about 9:30. And I go, how long of a drive is it? Oh, it's about, 5.5 hours. And I would figure it out. And I had it calculated, I thought, to within a 30-minute window. So one Saturday night, my buds and I are out and we're having a ball. We're just having a ball. And the reason we're having a ball is because my parents are not home. And my oldest brother and his wife are with them. And I looked at the clock in my car and I realized I'm in trouble. I gotta get home because my parents are about to pull in the driveway, and it was somewhere around 2:30, right? And I'm dropping my buds off. I mean, we pull up, get out, pull up, get out, pull up, get out, and I come around the corner and I park that little Capri. I love that little car. I parked that little Capri in the driveway, and as I'm running into the house, I see the headlights of my parents' car coming around the corner. It's 2:30 in the morning. Who's going to be on the road at 2:30 in the morning, right? And I book it down the hallway. I jump in my bed. I don't even change clothes. I just jump in the bed, kick my shoes off, jump in the bed. And I got the quilt pulled up over me, and I'm trying my best not to breathe hard, right? And I hear my parents come in, and I hear my brother and sister-in-law with them. And my brother announces, I'm going to go to the restroom for a minute, and then I'm going to leave. I'm thinking, why does he do that? And he comes down the hallway, restroom's across from my bedroom. He opens the door, and he goes, hey, man, did you just pull in the driveway? I go, how did you know that? And he goes, I walked past your car and put my hand on the hood, and that edge is as hot as could be. I said, don't you tell anybody. And he goes, this is our little secret, right?
Uh-oh. Leverage.
It was leverage. But I had it figured out every weekend. I had it figured out what time they would get home. And I was always within a 30 to 15 minute window. That night, I was within about a 2-minute window. Scared me.
It's a good thing you had the wisdom to give yourself 30 minutes of play
right.
on
That's right, yeah.
So.
But you know what happened the next morning? The next morning, once again, I'm eating Fruit Loops in the den. And my dad asked the proverbial, did you have a good time last night? And I'm thinking, yeah, it was good. You know, eat my Fruit Loops. He goes, where'd you go? You know, here, there, picked up Jimmy, picked up Carson. What'd y'all do? You know, we just hung out. Well, that was back before the Galleria was on 150. That was back before, y'all have no idea, but 150 was a 2-lane road, like this road right out here. There was nothing on there. And there used to be a place where you could get off that road, go down by a little creek and railroad tracks and hang out and build a bonfire. And I would drive my car down there. And sometimes my car would get stuck down there. And I go, why do you ask? And he goes, there's about a 6-foot limb hanging out of the back of underneath your car out in the driveway.
Oh, my God.
And I said, I wonder how that got there. And I walk out, sure enough, there's a limb sticking up behind my car. And I drove that limb all over Bluff Park that night trying to get everybody home.
Oh, man.
What we think is that our parents have no idea about anything.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My parents knew everything that was going on. You want to know how? Because they knew everybody in the community.
Yeah.
And they, you know what I'm saying?
That's the way Hayden was. Obviously, very small town, still small. But back when I was growing up, it was still the Hayden of everybody here grew up here. Their parents grew up here, their grandparents. So by the time you made it into high school, everybody in the community knew who you are, what truck you drove, the sound of your truck, everything. And there was just this network of calling that would happen that you had no idea about. And
were you ever fearful of what people knew and you wondered whether your parents knew it or not?
of course.
Yeah, I was all the time.
I lived that way.
Well, if y'all wouldn't live those kind of lives, you wouldn't worry
That's
about
true,
it.
but I didn't have enough sense.
I turned a corner in my life, you know. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sinless One.
Yeah. Thanks. For
Appreciate you. Encouragement there.
Well, Lindsay,
come on.
I hate that you've got to go, but you got a real job, unlike us, and you also have to go. So before you go, I just want to thank you for sitting down with us, and thank you for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes.
Of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job.
Good job.
And you got an ESPN highlight.
There we go.
She came in here, the one story topped everybody.
And dropped it on us.
Yeah, and
None
topped
of us
I don't
had
know about that.
Oh, yes. We know.
So I guess it's just going to be 3 of us now, but thank you again.
Are you in trouble? Well, we hope you're not. But just in case you are, we know a good lawyer. Whitney Island here in Hayden, Alabama has law services, or maybe if you're not from Hayden, I'm sure she'd be happy to hear from you. So check her out at islandlaw.com. We appreciate Whitney and her sponsoring the show.
At least once a year, I try to run a half marathon just to say I'm still in the game. I gave up marathons several years ago. And usually for me to get ready for a half marathon, it takes 12 to 14 weeks. And I saw one in Gatlinburg and I thought, well, now that's got to be fun. And it's in Townsend. You know where Townsend is? It's on the sleepy side of Gatlinburg. It's not as commercialized, probably 30, 45 minutes away from Gatlinburg. Small little sleepy, quiet town. So I sign up for it, train, I'm ready to go. And my wife couldn't go with me, and I had rented a room at a motel that has not changed in 80 years. The wood paneling, everything. But they kept it clean, right? It's nice. So I get there on a Friday night, and this is a big half marathon for that part of the country. There were 5,000 people in that race. So people are flooding into Townsend. There's no rooms available. There's not many hotels or motels. I luckily got one. People are sleeping in campers, tents, the whole bit. So I get there on Friday night, and I'm going to go through my Friday night ritual before I do a half marathon. I'm just going to go for a walk, get my body loose, feel good. And I'm thinking, I need something to eat. So I stick some money in my pocket, and I'm wearing my running shorts and a running shirt. And there are hardly no restaurants in Townsend. There's like a mom and pop place that closes at 6 and an ice cream stand that sells hamburgers. And I'm telling you, there are people everywhere. And as I'm walking back to the hotel, I see a restaurant full of people. And I see cars in the parking lot. And I go, well, that's a good sign. Cars in the parking lot, people in there. So I go, and there's no sign advertising like this is the name of the restaurant. So I go walking in. And when I walked in, I should have known right then I was in the wrong place because everybody stopped eating and stared me down. And I'm doing the obligatory, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And this man comes up to me and he says, can I help you? And I go, well, I'm not going to stay to eat. I'd just like to get a to-go plate. He goes, sure. So he hollers at his buddy, hey, grab this man a to-go plate. So the guy goes over to the closet and he's digging, looking for a to-go plate. I'm thinking, no cash register, but there's tons of food in a buffet. And I'm thinking, well, I've got the money load here. And so I go down the buffet. Okay, here's my second clue. It's not restaurant food. It's mom and pop squash casserole,
like
sweet potato. Yeah, it's potluck. That should have been the giveaway right there. No, not to Ryan Whitley. You gotta slap him upside the head. So I'm
should live in my family.
Yeah.
They can help you with that.
Yeah, your dad. I needed your dad to slap me when I was 16. So I'm loading up, carbing up, man, because I'm gonna run a half marathon tomorrow. And then I look, and down the other buffet line are homemade desserts. And the guy's following me, right? He goes, you want some desserts? And I go, yeah. Hey, grab him another to-go plate. Well, here's my third. He couldn't find another to-go plate. He's scrounged. He can't find one. He finally finds one, brings that to me. And I'm loading it up. And everybody in the restaurant's still watching me. They're staring me down. They're talking, but they're staring me down. Here's the fourth indicator. All the women had on dresses, and they were wearing their hair up on their head. And all the men were not formally dressed, but nicely dressed. And so I walked back over to the guy that welcomed me, and I said, hey, man, how much do I owe you? And he goes, you don't owe me anything. And it's his friend that's standing next to me, and they're both kind of giggling. And I go, no, I came to a restaurant. I want to. And he goes, sir, this isn't a restaurant. And I said, it's not. He said, no. He said, I own this building, and this is a church fellowship.
Oh, my gosh.
That is great.
We got wedding crashers, and now we got church crashers.
That's right.
And I look at him, and I said, I am so sorry. And he said, did you not see the sign out front? Well, when I left, I saw the sign. It's a sign as you walk up the steps. It has a little spotlight on it that says, private event only.
You walked right past
I
that.
ignored it, man. I'm hungry. I'm about to run a half marathon, right? And so he goes, where are you from? Now I'm embarrassed. And I go, I'm from Alabama. What part of Alabama? I go, I'm from Birmingham. Where do you live in Birmingham? I go, in Trussville. He goes, what do you do for a living? And I'm thinking, and I go, well, tell me about you. And let
me change the subject.
Yeah, exactly. Quick. And once a year, 3 churches, either Assembly of God or Church of God, 3 churches, 2 from North Carolina, 1 from Tennessee, go to that chapel out at Cades Cove to have a hymn sing, where they sing hymns, right? And they come back to this building he owns, and they bring food, and they have a big fellowship. There's probably 100 people in there. So he's telling me all this, and he goes, hey, did you ever tell me what you do for a living? I go, no.
Here he comes back.
I said, no, I didn't. He goes, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a pastor. And he stops the whole fellowship. and announces, "Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ryan. He's a pastor in Trussville, Alabama. Let's all welcome him." Well, they're all clapping and applauding. And as I'm leaving, people are coming up and hugging me. "Hey, do you know my brother?" And I go, "What's your brother's name?" Because I think they're going to say something over Trussville. "He lives somewhere in Sylacauga."
Yeah, right. State, and you know him.
I said, "No, I hadn't met your brother. I hadn't met your brother." And I laughed all the way back to the motel. I had to call my wife, and subsequently called my 3 best friends and said, "You're not going to believe what I just did. Just crashed a church fellowship."
How was the food?
Unbelievable.
Better than what you'd have got.
Unbelievable. And every time I'm in Townsend, I'll drive by that place. And I've told people where it is. And I've got ruthless friends that have been there. They take a picture of it, send it to me and say, "Ryan, this is not a restaurant and you're not invited."
You're not invited.
Oh, yeah. It was a great half marathon too. Oh, and
It didn't stop you before?
No. And the next morning, 5,000 people are lined up to run that half marathon, right? What are the odds of this happening? I'm in my, I guess they call them stable, where your pace, you get, I think it's called stable, where you get in the group of your pace, like whatever your pace is, you're in that group and then the next group and the next group and that kind of stuff. And, you're standing there and you're just kind of talking to people and this guy looks at me and goes, "Hey man, how was the food last night?" I go, "Do what?" And he goes, "How was the food last night?" And I go, "How did you know I was in there?" He said, "My buddy and I were following you into that place when we saw the sign that said private event only."
And they bailed.
And I said, "You saw it, but I didn't." I said, "Hey, you missed out. It was great." What are the odds of that happening with 5,000 people out there? It was
The
great.
blind leading the blind.
Very blind.
Oh my goodness.
Very blind.
That's a great,
A fond memory.
Great memory. That's what I was going to say. That's a
fond
great
memory.
memory.
Yeah, indeed. You got a food story?
Not a food story, but I got a prank story.
Tell it.
No,
So-
Randy is a pranker,
Well, we had a good one. So
jokester.
for about 9 years, I was student minister, and we would go to Gatlinburg for a lot of our retreats, but it got so expensive.
You tore up too many ACLs.
Yeah, I was like,
couldn't afford hospital visits.
can't do that. So anyway, we moved to a place over in Springville, and this was going to be a difficult transition because kids, when you've been doing something for a long time, oh boy, that's difficult. So
That's a Baptist problem.
it is. So we
We
sold
keep doing
it.
what we're doing. Don't ask no
You
questions.
just got to work through it, man.
Yeah.
And so I sold it and we got it worked out. So we went to this new camp. And so I thought, we've got to make this memorable. So I had heard about this thing called Secret Church. And so
How'd you hear about it if it's a secret?
Well, the word got out.
Okay.
It did.
Just wondering.
Yeah. And so we had planned for the very first night they were there, we had planned something for the kids that they didn't know what was fixing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting ready to go to bed or, go to their rooms or whatever. And so it was about 9:00 and we had like this hard, shut down, go to your rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But we were doing that because we had a plan. And so they go to their rooms and they're getting ready, they're changing, getting showers or whatever. Well, we have our chaperones go and bang on the doors in a very serious tone, says, "You need to get to the sanctuary right now."
Mm.
And they're like, "Why? What? You don't have time. Just put some clothes on and let's go." So girls are coming in there. They got wet hair. Guys have got like, these, and it was cold outside. So they had like a tank top on and some pants, just getting ready for bed. And they come in there and we had this video showing and it's very distorted so they can't see the person's face. And we're setting up this secret church that they are about to get persecuted. And we don't give them any type of instruction, none at all. And we basically just push them outside. But we pair them up 2 by 2 and they just got to figure out what's happening. And so they go outside and throughout the whole day, we've had scriptures posted everywhere. And they kept asking, "Why do you have all these scriptures posted?" I said, "Well, you'll find out." Well, we get there and outside we have what's called guards. And so the adults are the guards. And if they find somebody outside, they're going to throw them into a jail. So we had a room set up.
Wow.
The only way they could escape out of this room was to quote a scripture.
Oh,
So we had it posted everywhere for them.
Jesus.
But they didn't pay any attention to
Scripture.
it. And so they threw them in, and then they had to figure out how to get out. They didn't know how to even get out. And so then they're running out in the dark. They're running, trying to figure out where they're going.
Mm.
And every once in a while, somebody would come and say, hey, you need to try to get to so-and-so place, try to get so-and-so place. And there were girls out there crying. They were scared.
I bet.
Because they
I
didn't
would be
realize
too.
what was really happening.
I would be too.
So this wasn't going the direction that I had hoped it would go, but it began to turn a corner as they kind of began to settle in a little bit like, oh, this isn't like so serious, but okay, we see what's happening. So it was like a game for them. So they get through all that for the next 2 nights. That's all they're talking about. Oh, well, we did this, whatever. Well, then we'd always have the same speaker and the same band come every year. And they had great relationships with our students with them. It was like a great bond. Well, I need everybody to come outside to the gazebo. This is the last day, and it's about 3:00. And we're getting ready to go home. I said, before we go, we all need to meet here. So we all meet. And I said, I just want to say that I'm very disappointed in you all. And they're just kind of like, and I've never spoken like that to them. So they're like, why? What's happening? And I said, apparently somebody in our group has decided that they were going to get a 5-finger discount on some of the merchandise that our band was selling. And do you not realize that they sell that stuff for their family and for their income and to help to support them? And I said, I cannot believe that you have come on a Christian retreat and we've got thieves among us. I cannot believe it. So
Randy, this is cold-blooded.
So here's what we're going to do.
This is cold-blooded.
I want everybody to bow their heads right now.
Oh, my stars.
And I want to give you the chance right now to admit that you stole something.
Ruthless.
Oh, thank you. There's a hand. Now, there's no hands being raised right now.
Oh, boy.
Because nothing was stolen.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's
Oh,
ruthless.
yeah. So I said, there's one hand. Another hand. By this time, you could feel the tension with all the students because we're sitting in a circle and they're like, they're squirming. They're like, and you can kind of see they're kind of gripping their legs like, who has stolen this? And they were getting indignant. They were upset. And I said, wow, another hand. 3. Anybody else? Anybody else here? And by this time, now the adults are slowly coming in because they've had these solo cups the whole time and taking sips out of it, but they were pretending. So they had flour inside these solo cups. And so all the adults came inside and they were facing now the students who were in the circle with their eyes closed. And then I said, all right, you can raise your heads. And they raised their heads, but I was just kidding. And then they doused them all with the flour. But it was so funny, man. They were so mad because they felt like, I cannot believe somebody has stole something on this trip.
What an emotional roller coaster you
I'm
put
not
these
sure I
kids
would ever
on.
go. If I went on one retreat with you, I wouldn't go on another.
They loved it.
No.
They
I'd rather have
loved
an ACL
it.
tour than that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I would either physically getting torn up, spiritually torn up, or emotional.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's right.
Or emotionally,
That's right.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Man, but it's just something. Man, they talk about that, all the time. I can't believe that you pulled that over on us.
Ruthless.
We thought somebody
Hard-hearted.
they were fixing to team up on them.
Cold-blooded.
Oh, yeah, they're fixing to take them
They
down.
should have.
Try.
We can't
they
believe
should
you have
have.
ruined our time here by stealing something. We
Herd
can't believe you done
mentality.
it. They were going to do it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. I'm sitting here thinking of 2 embarrassing stories that I've had in my life. The first one was at a birthday party with couples. And I don't know whose party it was, but there's probably 10, maybe 12 couples in this house. And my wife and I went with her best friend and her husband, and we knew each other, and we were all good friends. And we're having it was a Christmas party, and we're all having a great time. And my wife was standing next to me, and we're standing up behind the sofa, and they're playing a game or somebody's laughing. And I just take my hand and put it around my wife's hip and slip it in her back pocket. And I'm just standing there with my hand in her back pocket. And she says, here, hold this, whatever it was, maybe her drink. She's going to go get something, right? And I'm watching the game, and my wife comes back, right? And she's standing there. So I put my arm around her waist, and I'm thinking, yeah. And then I take my hand and I slide it in her back pocket, and I go, well, that's not my wife's waist, and that's not my wife's butt. And now I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm vapor locked. I'm like, And I turn, and it's my wife's best friend. And she's looking at me with dismay.
Oh,
And I go, I did not do that.
of all people.
Yeah, I said, I did not do that. And she goes, it's quite all right. I realize what happened. I go, I hope you realize what happened. I said,
Because that happened.
Yeah, because, and then I'm looking around the room like, who's watching what just happened right there? Thankfully, nobody did. And it's been a long-standing joke with us. Like, be careful who you put your arm around, right? You need to make sure it's your wife. And then I did one on my wife. She's a proud Golden Gopher of the Hueytown High School, 1980. Just celebrated 45th high school reunion a couple weekends ago. And when my daughter was a cheerleader at Pinson Valley High School, y'all know where Pinson Valley High School is. Pinson Valley was playing Hueytown. And so we go out to Golden Gopher Stadium, right? And I'm pumped up. Hey, we're back at your territory here, baby. We put our hand over the heart every time we drive by Golden Gopher Stadium where our parents still live. And we're at the football game, and it's homecoming for Hueytown. And we're in the visitor stands. And I have a great idea. So about halfway through the first quarter, I just lumber over to the Hueytown section, acting like I'm going to the concession stand when I walk past 3, to get there. And I make my way up to the press box. And no one's stopping me. I mean, I literally go into the press box. No one has said, hey, what are you doing? Hey, all this kind of stuff. And I go into the part of the press box where they're making the announcements in the football game, 10-yard gain, all that kind of stuff. And it's a timeout. And I look at the announcer and I go, hey, man, can you do me a favor? And he said, what's that? And I said, my wife is sitting over in the other stands. We're proud Pinson Valley parents. Can you make an announcement that a 1980 Golden Gopher, I think they were called Gopherettes or whatever they were in the band, the majorettes. I said, can you make an announcement that she's here and ask everybody to welcome her to Golden Gopher Stadium? He goes, you bet, man. Tell me her name again. So he writes it down. I said, can you tell me when you're going to do it? He said, I'll do it right at the end of the third quarter and just before the fourth quarter. And I said, great. I said, anyway, you can do it before the game's over with twice. He goes, yeah, you bet. So I make my way back to the stands. We're sitting there with all the cheerleading moms. We're sitting there with all the football parents. My wife's talking away. The game starts and it's a timeout. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome 1980 graduate Vonda Goodwin Whitley, one of our former Golden Gopher majorettes. Can we all welcome her? My wife is clueless. She's not even listening. And everybody on our side of the stadium is going, did you hear that? Did you hear that? She goes, did I hear what? Did I hear what? And the crowd applauds.
They're welcome.
It's Golden Gophers, man. You got a former Golden Gopher over there. You got to welcome them.
Yeah.
And she didn't hear it. And I'm so disappointed. I'm thinking, come on, man, be money for me. Be money for me. And sure enough, before the game's over with, he does it again. She wanted to climb under the bleacher.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to strangle me. But it was a great Golden Gopher moment. Yeah. 1980 graduate. That's fun.
How was the car ride home?
Cold.
Yeah.
Do you sleep on the couch?
No, we don't do that in our house. But it was quiet.
I would love to say that I'm surprised, but just knowing you, that's just about high fastball.
Yeah, that's par for the course.
Par for the course.
Oh, I have worse than that.
Oh,
if you
there's
think
no
that's
doubt.
a high fastball.
But I'm just saying that's just your base. I mean,
Yeah, that's a base hit.
Yeah, you're
It's
good.
pretty. I mean, this is cold blooded.
Oh, Randy.
In fact, if I had a student in that church, I wouldn't let him go when you were the student minister there. You're the pastor there now.
I would straighten them
Well,
up.
no wonder your people revere you. You're the pastor now. They're all adults. They're scared of you.
They may be.
if they ain't got health insurance,
Right. And,
Right.
and you give an invitation, every head bowed, every eye closed. I need to know who stole whatever. Raise your
That's it.
hand.
I may
Where's
try
the
that
flower
someday.
parade?
Yeah, exactly. This is the way your people pray.
Yeah, that's right.
Looking around.
Every head bound, every eye closed, not a chance.
Just not now.
It ain't happening.
If the newcomer closes out, they go, don't do that.
No,
Don't do
don't
it.
join. Don't join here.
No telling what he might do.
Don't join here.
Oh, man. That's good. Wow.
You got another one, Randy?
Oh, man. I got a good one. So, speaking of church members,
Easy.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had
No names,
Oh
please.
yeah, well it's okay. He would appreciate it because he knows how true this is. So you get caught up many times going to the hospital to visit people and all that kind of stuff, and So I had gone ahead of him and went in with the family, and the guy had just passed, and so all the families gathered around, and just a real solemn man. This guy was just pillar in the church and good godly guy. Never heard him say a bad word about anybody, and just steadfast in his faith. And so I sat there and prayed with the family, and just a moment of just kind of reverence, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I walk out, and one of our deacons is coming by, and I said, "Hey," I said, "You going in?" Yeah, I'm going to go in there and see with the family, whatever. Well, he goes in. Well, apparently there was a lost communication because he didn't realize that the person had passed. Now, I knew that going in. So he walks in the room and he said, "Hey, everybody." And he said, I kind of realized the room was kind of solemn, but he said, I walked over to the guy. He said, y'all mind if I say a prayer? And they said, "Well, yeah, sure." And he called a guy by name. He said, "Hoyt," he said, "if you can hear me, I just want to let you know that I love you and I'm so thankful for you." And he just goes on and on and on and on. And he turned around and thanked the family. And they said, "Well, thank you for coming." And he walked out, and he goes, and his wife has now been outside the whole time. Now, she had heard that he had passed, but he didn't. And so he goes out there and he starts telling her, she goes, "You did what?" She said, "Did you not know he passed?" He said, "What?" He said, "Oh, I feel like an idiot." So then later he calls the family. And he says, "Listen, I don't normally try to speak to people who've passed." And they just laughed at him. We said, "We knew you didn't understand." He said, "It was cool. We didn't." But he doesn't live that down now. So whenever somebody is to the point of death, I'll ask, this guy to go. We call him the Whisperer. We'll get him to go and speak to them.
Speak to
see
them.
if he can call
Speak
them back or something.
Preachers have plethora of funeral stories. If you're a pastor for any length of time, you have one funeral story after another.
Yeah.
I've been to the wrong funeral home before. When I was in Mississippi, small town in the Mississippi Delta, and they had two funeral homes. One was on one end of Main Street. The other one was on the other end of Main Street. And it was August, and it was stifling hot in Mississippi. And I was running a little bit late. So I parked my car, and Main Street had, one-way direction, come back another way direction. And so I walk in the funeral home, and I'm going to find the funeral home director. And that was back in the day when you wore boutonnieres on the suit. Yeah, that was back in the day. And all the pallbearers did also. That's a key. So I come walking in. I got my Bible on an arm. The funeral home director looks at me and goes, "I didn't know you were doing this funeral." And I go, "Yeah, And he goes, "Okay, should have been a good clue right there, Ryan." So he puts the boutonniere on my coat. And he goes, "Come on in." And the family was in the final moments of viewing the body before the service was about to start. So opens the door, and I go walking in, and I know the people, and those aren't this man's people. But I know the people. They're not my parishioners. They're Presbyterian, right? And the son looks at me and goes, "Ryan, thank you so much for coming." And I go, "You bet." And I know I'm at the wrong place. So now I'm crawfishing. How do I get out of here? And I go, "Well, on behalf of the First Baptist Church of Cleveland, Mississippi, and my flock, we want you to know, and your mother know, that we love you and we're praying. Would you please come and say something to Mom?" I go, "Most certainly." I'm looking at my watch. That one down the street's about to start. And I go walking over to her, and she goes, "I cannot believe you came to my husband." "Well, we want you to know." And I got the boutonniere, and I got the Bible. And I'm looking in the casket, and it ain't the one I'm supposed to be doing. And it was the quickest prayer. It was quick.
Yeah.
I prayed for the whole family. And while I'm praying, the pastor that's supposed to do the funeral slips in, and we made eye contact. As I'm exiting, he's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm looking at him like, "I don't know what I'm doing." And so instead of getting in my car and going all the way down Main Street and coming all the way back to the other one, I'm just going to book it. I'm going to take off and shag it down the road in my suit and my dress shoes. And there's a little bridge, a narrow bridge, no less than a foot wide, walk bridge, over what they would call a bayou. We would call it a creek that runs through the town. And I am booking it, man. I'm giving it all it's got. And I am wet from the humidity. And I dance across that footbridge, and I go into the back door of the other funeral home. And I pull that door open, and the funeral home director's looking at me, and she was tough as nails, and she let me have it. Where have you been? What are you doing? Why are you sweating? And I'm not even going to try to explain it to her. I'm not even going to tell her I went to the wrong funeral home. I'm just going to say I'm late. And then she sees this boutonniere and she goes, what are you doing? And she takes that boutonniere off, throws it over in the trash can, puts the boutonniere on that belongs to the funeral I'm doing. And I walk into the chapel. Everybody's seated, right? Organist is playing. She's my organist, my church. I sit down on a seat next to her and I go, and I mean, I got sweat.
Oh, yeah.
And while she's playing, she looks at me and goes, are you okay? And I go, yeah, I'm good to go. Stand up, do the funeral. Everything's fine. So about 2 years later, when I'm leaving that church, they have a Sunday night where they want me to share stories, memorable moments. Well, that's one of them, right? And I tell the story, and the service is over with. We're going to reception, and a widow comes up to me and she says, that was my husband's funeral. Oh. And I said, it was. I said, how did you know? And she said, my daughter leaned over and said, Mama, something's wrong with Brother Ryan. He's perspiring. I think he's sick. He's probably got a fever. And I go, no, I ran down the road to make it to your husband's funeral.
You kept that under your hat.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like a revelation to them.
Oh, it was a revelation to everyone.
Wow.
How old were you?
32.
Yeah, you're a young man. Just getting kind of started.
But probably my top funeral story.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Again, it's in August. And you know those funerals you do where you don't know?
What's the deal with August?
I don't know. It's memorable.
Glad we're almost out of it.
It's memorable.
Hope everybody else makes it.
Yeah. Well, you do those funerals for people you don't know. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's awkward in and of itself. But you do it because you want people to hear the gospel. And these people were connected somehow. They weren't members, but a member came into, will you do the funeral? And I said, yeah. So I meet them the day before. I meet them at the funeral home just to chat. Tell me about your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Getting the
you
basics.
got to know something.
Yes. And he was a believer, and they were also. And that's always, that is reassuring, right? And at the end of the conversation, the daughter looks at me and says, hey, do you have the phone number to the Dove man? I said, excuse me?
Oh.
You know where I'm going?
Oh, no.
Yeah, don't. Just keep it.
Well, no, this is good.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Just in case somebody else doesn't.
Yeah. So she said, do you? And I go, I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about. And she goes, the man who releases the doves at the funeral. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
100%.
And I go, well, I'm sorry, I do not. And she goes, someone who would? No, I'm sure someone in the funeral home would know. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have the number. And she goes, we really want to release doves at my daddy's funeral. And I go, sure. So I leave and want to be gracious here, but I'd had my fill of doves at funerals. And so I'm thinking, I show up at the funeral the next day. It's graveside. And they come up to me and say, hey, our brother-in-law wants to sing You Speak, and then we're going to release 3 doves. We couldn't find the dove man. I said, okay. I thought, well, this will be interesting. And they have this cage, over near the grave that's covered in a blanket. And underneath that cage, the whole time I'm speaking, you can hear, remember now, it's hot as blue blazes, right? So here comes the brother-in-law to sing at the graveside, and he has a genuine 1980s boom box on his shoulder. And I'm thinking, well, this is going to be entertaining. So just step back and absorb everything that happens. And we're not talking about a CD player. We're talking about a cassette 1980s boom box, right? He presses play, and it's the wrong song. And he goes, well, hang on. There's probably 2 dozen out there. He speeds it up, presses play close to where he needs to be, runs it back, takes him 2 or 3 hits to get right at the song. And then he sings. And he sang, right? Brother-in-law. So then I speak, and I get through, and she stands up and says, we couldn't find the dove man, but we found 3 doves that we purchased. Wherever you buy doves. Where do you buy doves? I don't know where you buy doves. And she takes the blanket off, and there's one on the pedestal. There's one in the bottom, And there's another one like its head is sticking out of the cage. And these doves are not doing well.
Correct.
They're not doing well. And I'm thinking, what are they about? They're going to release them, right? So she reaches in and she grabs the one on the pedestal that's trying to get out of her hand. And she grabs it and she hands it to her sister. And she reaches in and grabs the other two. And the other two are pretty much lifeless, right?
They're not putting up much fight.
No, they're not.
Right.
They're not. And so she looks at me and says, Brother Ryan, will you read the passage about our spirit is like a dove? And I said, I'm not sure I know where that is. And maybe you should say it. And she does. She elaborates, right? So on the count of 3, they're going to release these doves. One of them is ready to get out of the hand. The other 2 are basically slumped over. So 1, 2, 3, they release it. So she releases the one, and it takes off, but it can't be 6 feet above the ground.
Oh, wow.
And it's just hovering across the cemetery. The second one takes off, and it has life, and it goes immediately to a tree limb. And this was back before iPhones. Because if I had an iPhone, I would be recording every bit of this right here, right? And the third one goes, boom, lands on the ground right in front of them. And she looks at her brother, Jimmy, and says, kick it. Jimmy does what you do. Jimmy goes, what? And she goes, kick it, Jimmy, kick it. And Jimmy has a high school flashback of a drop kick.
Oh, no.
Jimmy takes a step back, puts 2 steps into it, and drop kicks that dove, right? And that dove gives it everything it has to get off the ground. It is, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And that dove flew probably 3 feet, 2 feet off the ground, all the way around the graveside. 2 times. And it finally gets enough to where it goes. And she turns and goes, and there goes Daddy's spirit. And I'm thinking, this is one of the most entertaining moments I've had in a long time. I said, can we pray? And I pray and I go, God bless y'all. Thank you for being here. You were dismissed.
I mean, we got to put a close on this thing.
Just need a little kick. That's all I need.
Oh, man.
I'm done.
Have you seen the ones on Instagram?
Oh, no, I've done
all
them.
kinds of things happen.
Oh, yeah.
They hit cars, hit them.
No, I had a friend that had a red-tailed hawk that nailed one coming out of the cage. Red-tailed hawk was on the power line. They released it. The one that was flying the least behind, not the homing one.
Right.
Red-tailed hawk goes, boom.
Wow.
They're a predator of them.
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting on them.
I'd like to know where they got the doves.
That's interesting.
You don't see a lot of signs advertising. Hey,
I still think that
Probably
does
not.
it.
Not
buy
the
3,
pet
get
store.
1 free.
Yeah.
And you know the
Walmart
story.
parking lot.
Well, you know, yeah. I have no idea where they got those doves.
And I thought you were going to say they were pigeons once.
No, they were doves.
They were real doves.
They were real doves.
Wow.
I have 3 precious friends who are all 3 pastors. We go on a retreat together every year. We go to baseball games, football games. You name it, we do it. We just, and our wives love each other. It's just it's a sweet friendship. Somebody gave us tickets to the Braves Yankees baseball game the night Michael Jackson died. How I remember that. It just sticks with me.
Memorable.
Yeah. Place is packed. We're sitting behind the Braves dugout, about 10 rows up. We're having a ball, enjoying the game. And there's a guy behind us that is inebriated. Mm-hmm. He is throwing them back even before the game gets started. And the more inebriated he gets, the louder he gets and the more obnoxious he gets. And he's cussing and letting everybody have it. And so one of my pastor friends turns around and says, he kind of stood up, he's in between innings. He stood up and he goes, hey, look, man, can't you see this as a family section? We didn't realize this. Where the Braves families, the players sit, their families, wives and kids, right? He says, can't you see this is where where families sit? You need to cut back on the foul language and you just need to calm down. And he proceeded to tell my friend to shut up or he was going to make him sit down. And so I stood up and had a flashback and said, well, you're not about to tell my friend to shut up and you're not about to tell my friend to sit down. And he goes, well, who are you? I said, it doesn't matter who I am, but I've measured you up and you're not big enough or bad enough to make him sit down. Well, now this old boy bows up. He bows up. And what I do, I gave him a little bit back. So he's standing up. So the other pastor stands up and puts his arm around me and whispers in my ear, It ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it.
The voice of reason.
We don't need to go to Fulton County Jail tonight because you lost your head here. And so the other pastor sat down. The one that called me sat down. What did I do? I just kept standing all the way into the inning. I was standing right there in front of the old boy. I thought, and every now and then I look back at him like, come on, you bad. Come on, maybe. So finally sit down. And so he had been yelling so much at the Braves that the Braves called security and had the old boy escorted out of the stadium. That section applauds and all this. And that is when we learned that a lot of the Braves players' families were sitting there and they were thanking us and all this kind of stuff. Hey, where do y'all live? You know, that story, you know, what do you do for a living?
There's next.
You know, so this lady in front of me turns around and she goes, I just figured out who you are. And I go, really? Who am I? And she goes, you're Rick Warren. And I said, ma'am, I am not Rick Warren. And I'm not selling my book right now. Oh, yes, you are. So what do my two pastor friends do? What do?
Oh, they egg it on.
It is Rick Warren.
Oh, yes.
He's incognito. He doesn't ever get out like this. It is. So between innings, she's asking me questions about the purpose-driven life. And I'm annoyed. And they go, hey, Rick, tell her about the time, you know, hey, Rick, you want a hot dog? Hey, Rick, you want something, all that, the whole game. And toward the end of the game, she calls her mom and says, Mom, you're not going to believe this, but Rick Warren and his two associate pastors are sitting right behind me.
Because they assume position and everything. That's perfect.
Yeah. And at this point, I've just given up, right?
Yeah.
And I realize this is cold-blooded. I know. And I just
really?
I just do stuff. And so I go, do you have a pen?
Mm-mm.
And she goes, well, I sure do. And I said, where's your ticket stub? She hands me her ticket stub. And I take her pen and I wrote, God bless Rick Warren.
Mm.
And I handed it back to her. Right. And she is thrilled.
You made her night.
Oh, yes, I did. Even as we're leaving the stadium, my friends will never believe I sat in front of you. This has been such a great night. And what are my buddies doing? Oh, he didn't want to be known tonight, but he loves people and all this kind of right. So a month later, one of my buddies knows Rick Warren and was in California, went to Rick's church, worshiped with him. And after worship, comes up to Rick and has his cell phone and says, Rick, I got to tell you a story. And so he tells him a story. He says, will you do me a favor? He says, will you act like Ryan Whitley? And so he does the selfie video and he goes, hey, Rick, this is Ryan Whitley. Just want to say thank you for all you do. And I love your book, The Purpose-Driven Life.
That's amazing.
Is that classic?
That's
or what?
amazing.
Great story.
Wow.
Great story.
Wow.
All right, as you can see, we've got 2 gifts here this week. Going to open them up real quick. We always appreciate when people think enough of us to send us in a gift.
That's awesome.
You
Do you know these people or are these strangers?
I don't look at them beforehand, and I hope that never comes back to bite me. But they'll
Yeah. I get it.
But a lot of times they don't want recognition. They don't want anything. They just want to send us something.
These are proud followers of your podcast.
But we get all kinds of. We've gotten all kinds of stuff.
Really? Is this a weekly thing?
Maybe not weekly, but sometimes.
And so this is completely random. You have no idea what's in the box.
No, you saw me open it. Yeah. So I got some stickers here, racing wraps, Ride for Life, B&B wraps, some stickers there.
That sounds like a biker. Is this a biker?
Got a new hat.
Hey.
Oh, check it out.
Hey, now.
Hey.
What?
Got a little hunter orange. And on the back, it says, this is going to be Parkinson's awareness. So this is going to be for Brother Blink. Got a cross with some nails on this side.
Does it have your Hayden, Alabama podcast on the front?
On the front of that, yeah.
Okay, that's where you get all the hats.
That's
we
amazing.
do get some hats that way, and then we don't have any.
That's a great tribute.
So we don't have anything written in here. So I just want to say thank you for the hat. Thank you for the stickers. Appreciate that.
Can I ask a silly question? You know who it's from? Is that who it's from right there?
Well, here's what I don't do because I never know if they want to.
I get it.
If they want a recognition or not. I usually just leave that out unless
that's pretty amazing.
Sent me something.
Wow.
So got
is that dear brother that you have on here?
Brother Blink.
I love listening to him.
He is an amazing story.
He really is. He really is.
This is interesting.
Wow.
I'd like to know what the most interesting package you've ever had.
I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about
A
that.
dove.
Dove. Yeah. Get any doves yet? Bubble wrap. Got some shirts. So let's see what this is. Oh, the great state of Kentucky. Got a couple of
That
hats
is
here.
so cool that
And
you
some
have
shirts.
people that send you these things.
I know, isn't it great?
That is really awesome.
Let's see what the shirt says.
Nice.
Oh, man.
This is
Nice.
Kentucky State Police. I
Nice.
believe this is going to be a guest that we had on. Very special guest. He is in the Kentucky State Police, and I got to baptize him.
Wow.
So let me tell you that story real
Are
quick.
those dry fit shirts
These are
that you
dry
can
fit
run in
shirts.
and work out in?
Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you for that. And
Tell the story. You baptized him?
let me look at this real quick, and I will. I can't do two things at one time.
Well, they have
I
your
have
red on
learned that
paper.
I'm very
Yeah.
compartmentalized mentally. And another,
He sent you a challenge coin.
get a challenge coin.
Golly.
Do you collect those?
We got one right there. And actually, he gave us that one as well while he was here. And then now
Huh.
he sent us another one. So, quick story on that. I get an email one day, and we get some emails. I'm thankful to get them. I'm not real great at responding quickly. But I saw this one and said, I've never been baptized. I believe in Jesus. I've never been baptized.
Interesting.
And I'd like for you to baptize me.
Interesting.
So I make the phone call,
Interesting.
have a great conversation, hear
Mhm.
about the testimony of
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, believing in him, and
Mhm.
the story of, why we had the baptism hadn't occurred just
Mhm.
yet. And then I said, I'll proudly baptize you.
Mhm.
Not knowing that, that it was really kind of, they really truly wanted to drive from Kentucky to Alabama, and sure enough did it.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Did you
Him and his
baptize
family.
him at your church?
Yeah.
How
From
sweet is
Kentucky
that?
to Blunt Springs. And then we recorded a podcast after that.
How sweet is that?
It was awesome. Great experience.
Sounds like a special man.
Was able to be on the phone with a young man who shared the gospel with him. First time he'd ever heard it. That's
Really?
hard to believe in the
Really?
United States. I think we take that for granted. Everybody knows who Jesus is. Everybody knows what Jesus did.
Well, hang on. You
Mm.
can take that two ways. First time to ever hear it. Because there's some people that are exposed to the gospel and they don't hear it.
Hmm.
And then the Holy Spirit opens their ears and their heart and they
Mhm.
finally hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a neighbor I witnessed to for 4 years. I knew he flat out told me he didn't want to go to heaven, didn't believe in Jesus. And I witnessed him for 4 years, at least twice a year. Got home one night, my wife said, hey, you need to go see JC. He's got good news. I go down there and I'll knock on his door. He comes to the door. He's crying. JC, what's wrong? He said, I got saved last night. I said, I rejoice in that, JC. And then he said, for the first time in my life, I heard the gospel.
Wow.
And I realized right then what
Mhm.
he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't hearing it when I was sharing it, but wherever he was the night before,
Yeah.
his hard heart became soft and he heard
Mm.
the gospel. And I know what you're saying. There
Well,
are
this
people-
was, that's a great point. I needed to clarify that.
Yeah.
He just verbalized
Yeah.
to me that he never
Right.
had heard what Jesus had done.
And there are more than a few people in America that
Yeah.
would say that.
Yeah.
So I shared that with him. Were you the one? Do I need to give you credit for this? In seminaries where I learned it, the 5 kind of points to share the gospel. Was that you that taught that? No, I think you taught the 5 points of prayer.
Yeah,
you taught the
did.
5 points
I
of
did.
prayer, and then I used that
I
same
did.
thing to talk about the 5 points of the gospel.
I
So that's
did.
how I think about it: is
Yeah.
the birth of Jesus
Yeah,
Christ,
right,
and then I go to his perfect life,
right,
the crucifixion,
Right.
the death, the
Or
resurrection. And that's how I encourage people if they are nervous to share the gospel.
Yeah.
Look, you got a
Right.
backup.
Right.
You got 5 fingers. Just
Right.
think about it like that,
Right.
and then go through what Jesus did. Anyway, shared that just a little bit more elaborative of the way I
Right.
just shared it. And he said, "Well, I want to believe in Jesus Christ and have a relationship
That's
with
so
him
pure.
over the phone." Awesome experience.
Wow.
So
Can I share with you probably the most effective way I've seen the Lord use sharing the gospel?
sure.
I'm stunned at how effective it is. And it's not a tool. You're not trying to manipulate someone. But when you're talking to me, to say, I want to ask 3 questions, answer them the way you feel comfortable answering. First question is as simple as can be. Who is Jesus Christ? And where we live, about 98 out of 100 people are going to get that right. They're going to say son of God, they're going to whatever, special man, prophet, whatever. Second question, what did he do? And a good majority of people are going to say he died on the cross. It's the third question that a lot of people have never considered. And that is, well, why does that matter? And then you're able to go into why did he come? Why did he live the perfect life? Why did he die a substitutionary death? Why was he physically raised from the dead? I'm always pleasantly surprised at how that question penetrates someone's soul. I've had people cry. I've had people walk away. I've had people look at me and go, no one has ever told me why that matters. Can you tell me why that matters? What did Jesus do? Who is Jesus? What did he do? And why does that matter? They're just good questions to get a gospel conversation rolling.
And it's better than a yes or no. You can't yes or no.
Right.
No,
that's right.
No. Yeah.
I don't want to make sure. I think I said thank you, but I want to make sure that I said thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for your time, and really appreciate this. Randy has a special story.
He does.
To share with us. Let's go with that, and then we'll get to scripture time after that.
Okay. So one of the greatest things that I have ever experienced in my life was during the time period that my wife and I decided for adoption. And I was really scared for that. I was not really open for it. And because, the logistics of that, the cost is astronomical, particularly if you go through an agency. Yeah. And anyway, God really began to deal with me and all that. So she went through so much infertility struggles and doctor's appointments and all the things. And so anyway, so that door closed seemingly for us, but yet another door was opening for adoption. And we go through the process, we do all the paperwork, and a buddy of mine had gone through this same agency and kind of referred us to them. So we went through this agency. And the way it works is you create a profile of yourself, who you are and your wife, and some details about you. And this goes to the birth mother. Then the birth mother has the autonomy to select how this process goes. Maybe. Well, my buddy, his wife, they went through this process, and you are presented a case, and then you choose yes or no. And if you say yes, you send your profile to this birth mother, and then from there she makes a decision. They went through 4 cases, and they got selected. And so going into this, I told my wife, I said, we're way better looking than them. I said, we got a great shot at this. But God knows how to humble people. And so after the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, the 25th, and the 30th case that had come to us, they were not necessarily no's, but we were not chosen. So finally, in between 30 and the 35th case, we get a phone call. And typically when we get a case, it's a profile of them, and it tells you a little bit about the birth mother, kind of where they are in life. Well, this was a different scenario, because with the other cases, it would tell you, hey, they're in their first trimester. Here's a tentative date for the baby to be born. And for us, a phone call came and said, hey, listen, we've just had a birth, and we want to know if you're interested. Every single time a case is presented to us, our answer was yes. It was always on the table. And we just trusted that God was going to take care of whatever that outcome was going to be. So we said yes, and went to the birth mother. She made her decision. They called us back. They said, it's a go. And they said, when can you come to Arizona? It's 3:00 in the afternoon. And so my wife calls me. She tells me all this. I said, So we go home. We start packing clothes in a suitcase, and then we head to the airport. While we're going, she pulls up to buy a ticket, and it is too close to the time frame to buy a ticket. Can't buy anything online. So I said, call the airport. So she calls, and there is a 90-minute wait. Now, who's trying to get flights out in the mid-afternoon? I don't know. So I said, look, let's just drive to the airport. We're 45 minutes out. We'll drive to the airport. Surely you can buy a ticket at the counter. We go to the first counter, and they say, sorry, no more tickets. Oh, man. We go to the second counter, and they say, well, we got one flight out, but we can only get you about halfway. I said, why would we go halfway? We can go home and sleep in our own bed and figure it out. So we go to the third counter, and they say, well, we only have 2 tickets left. I said, we'll take them. So we show up at the airport, and all that we have is a suitcase and an empty car seat. Can you imagine all the people looking at us to look at the cute little baby that's not in there and wondering why do we have a car seat?
Yeah.
So we go, we check the car seat in because I said, I don't know what to do with this car seat. Is it like luggage? And they said, you just check it in. So we do. Get on the airplane and we're flying out to the first leg of the flight. I think it was Houston, Dallas. And anyway, we land and over the intercom, they call out our names and say, before you exit the plane, please see so-and-so stewardess. And we just looked at each other like, how do they know who we are? And then, how long it takes to get off the plane. We're in the back. Again, they come on there. Please make sure you stop. So we go up there and we'll say, hey, we're so-and-so. And the lady begins to tell us that she was adopted. Oh. And she said, can I give you guys a hug? I said, please. Yeah. So she hugs us and we get off that plane. They give us a bottle of champagne. It's got the Texas logo and stuff on there. And we get off the plane and I said to them off, I said, where are we staying tonight? So she's, I don't know. So she books a place for us to stay and we get a rental car and we get to where we're going. I order pizza. It's like 11:30. I order pizza. I wait and wait. The pizza never comes. And I said, well, I guess we're not going to eat tonight. So we go to bed. We wake up the next day. We go to the hospital. And for the first time, we saw our daughter. And it was just very emotional. And the social worker comes in and she says, let's talk for a little bit. She said, where are you guys staying? I said, well, we're at this so-and-so hotel. What's your plans? I said, we don't have a plan. Like, we're going to stay at the hotel. Well, the hotel is like $150 a night. And we don't know how long we're going to be there. She said, well, we have a Ronald McDonald House on campus. And we can get you in there, but it's going to be about $25 a night. And I didn't say anything, but I was like, wow.
I'll take it.
She said, but I think I can get that waived for you. And so they got that way. We ended up staying there for 3 weeks.
Really?
1 week, she was in the NICU, and then 2 weeks, the rest of the time, we were waiting to be cleared from Arizona and then for Alabama.
For the law.
And in the meantime, man, God has begun to just do so much in our lives. And we had this group, discipleship group, come to Ronald McDonald House, and they fed us. And we're talking whatever, and they invite us to come to church, and I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Well, then they found out I was a pastor. Well, they brought all this food, so there are a couple of people there eating, and they kind of, eat and they leave. Well, the rest of the group comes and just sits and just kind of hangs around us and loves on us. And they begin to talk. We made a great connection, and they reached into their pocket and they pulled a big old wad of cash and laid it on the table. And they said, here's the money that's left over from our group that collected money to buy a meal. We want you to have it. And I looked at that, and it was like $300, and I thought, man, here we are, we show up and we don't have a reserve to be paying for all this stuff. No. And they just laid that money on the table. Great relationship with them. We went to church with them and the guy said, hey, do you know who Wayne Grudem is? I said, I sure do. Sure. He said, would you like to meet him? I said, I would love to.
Get real.
He says, he's right here. He turned around, got to meet Wayne Grudem. For those who don't know who Wayne Grudem is, man, he is a scholar, theologian.
Bible doctrine, systematic theology,
legend,
Christian essentials.
Legend. And a new book, Christian Ethics, that he gave me. It was like this thick. This guy's
lots of words,
brilliant.
Lots of footnotes.
So anyway, we made a great connection with those folks, and we stayed connected with them throughout the years. And we were so blessed while we were there that we didn't have anything. But people were buying stuff, and we go to Target and we pick it up and we bring it back. But then we had so much stuff we couldn't fly back. Oh. So now we got to rent a car and take it out of state, which is much more expensive.
Very.
Church member called up and said, hey, we want to make sure that you've got what you need. You pick out what you want, we'll pay for it. And so for 3 days, we drove from Arizona all the way back to Alabama. And it was the greatest display of God's affection and goodness that was so condensed. In our lives, we look back, this moment here, this moment here, but it was so, when he's talked about, compressed and shaken up, man, that was a moment that we experienced, and it was just incredible. Wow. And from that point, man, God has just used our little girl in our lives in a way I'd never imagined. I didn't know what I didn't have. And God really has blessed us in and through that. He provided financially for the cost of the adoption. And then he provided while we were there and providing for us now. And man, that's just something I wanted to share to give God glory.
Great story.
How he just took care of us through that.
Yeah. So glad you shared that story.
The word I had was provision.
Yeah.
Just God's provision.
Yeah. And even though he provided, I was scared because I just didn't know how to take care of everything. But he took care of it for me.
He did.
And When I go through droughts, I look back at that moment.
You should.
And I remember that God is faithful and that at any moment, no matter how dry the season, because up until that point, we were in a dry season because we had a lot of no's.
30 times.
That's a lot.
It was because we began to doubt.
Yeah.
Was it because I'm a pastor?
Right.
Is it because we live in Alabama?
Right.
Is it because of, we're just doubting? But God had a plan and we just didn't know what it was. But when in due time, God was ready.
Well, let's get scripture time.
Mm.
I'm going to take my hat off. That's important. Matthew 6, verses 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out. This is Jesus speaking, by the way. Watch out. Don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take this piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
The first part, obviously in Jesus' day, there was this situation that would go on is when somebody would come and bring an offering to the temple, that somebody would actually blow a trumpet to announce, hey, everybody, look, here comes somebody with an offering to the Lord, making this big scene. And Jesus is like, nope, that's not it. That's not what you need to do. And the person that he calls into question here is the hypocrite. So the hypocrite, going back to Greek, is going to be someone who wore a mask for a play, which just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing a character, so you put the mask on to show that that's a character you're playing and not yourself. But then that word, as it went on, began to have a negative meaning, because religiously you were this fleshly person of your own selfish ambition, but you could put this mask on and then you could look like your heart was in the right place and you could be religious. And Jesus is saying, do not be a hypocrite in this situation. His teaching is to not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. When you think about that, they're both parts of our body. They're only inches apart from one another. How in the world could you do something with your right hand if you personified your left hand, that it wouldn't know that you did it? But that's how Jesus, he's lifting the bar up. When you give so secretly that another part of your body wouldn't even recognize that you would do that, because Jesus knows that there's two rewards that you can get from giving.
Mm-hmm.
One reward is a pat on the back, an attaboy, good job, you're so awesome for doing that, and that's the praise of men. And Jesus is saying, don't seek the praise of men. Seek the blessing of God from being obedient to him, glorifying him out of meeting a need that he has called you to meet. Meet the need out of a love for God. And don't worry about any recognition from men, and God will bless you when you meet that need. When we think about it, because we're all compelled to have praise. That's man. We like to be praised. But when you put it like that, I'm going to choose not a pursuit because I want a blessing, but I'm going to choose God's blessing over man's praise, because the blessings of God are pure and perfect. Man's praise, you can be I can hypocritically praise you. I can verbally praise you and not even mean it. It's not even pure praise. But so when God calls you, I guess here's the practical thing. This week, as you're going about it, God calls you to do a task for him, to meet a need for him. Do it out of a pure heart that you're obeying God. You want to bring him glory and you want to be used by him to meet that need. And in your illustration, you had people do that very thing. Not illustration, but in your story.
Yeah.
You had people meet your need. How did that happen in your life in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, people would send gift cards, or they would provide something that they would assume or maybe even ask that we need, and sometimes a church would kind of pull together. I mean, even this week, I had somebody come to my office with an envelope with a name on it and cash on the inside, and they said, we don't want recognition for this, but we know somebody has a need, and we want to give it to you as the mediator so you could give it to them so they could be blessed without us getting a pat on the back. They said, this isn't about us, but we felt like this was something that would help them. And that is just to the T of what Jesus is trying to convey to all of us is don't go for the attaboys. Would you rather have somebody that you don't know applaud you, or would you rather have somebody who loves you, that looks you in the eye and says, I'm proud of you? And that's kind of this passage here of the reward that we would receive is far greater than what a man could give us.
Amen. Give me something. Now, you've been thinking over there.
I have two gifts in my gift mix, and it's the gift of preaching and the gift of leadership. And those were divinely endowed. I work on them, but God gave them to me. I don't have the gift of evangelism, but I'm supposed to share the gospel. I don't have the gift of mercy, but I'm supposed to be merciful. And I don't have the gift of generosity, but I'm supposed to be generous. So what I've done through the years is I've watched evangelists to learn from them. I've paid attention to merciful people to pick up on mercy, and I've paid close attention to generous people.
That's good.
So that I could develop generosity. And the difference between a generous person and a stingy person is, if you want to talk about left hand, right hand, generous person, their hand is always open so that whatever God gives them, they pass it on. And a stingy person, their hand is closed. And therefore, they're not ready to receive what they can share with others. So I've tried to develop the habit of having an open hand at all the times. And I told my congregation this not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago. We're studying 2 Corinthians chapters 8 and 9 are extensive teachings on stewardship and giving and such. And I told them, I said, my children never missed a meal. My children never went without clothes. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, their children begging for bread. I don't think we can ever be generous enough with our words, with our affirmation, with our prayer, with our encouragement, and with our money. And I would be curious to know what you think the reward is, because the scripture does plainly say your Father who sees what in heaven will reward you. I know what my reward is watching God meet the need in someone else's life, but then watching him subsequently replenish it in my life so I can give again. And I'm blown away by that. I'm shocked. I shouldn't be at the age that I'm at, but I'm blown away by if God impresses me to do something and give it to someone, how he turns around and I'm like, what?
How did that happen?
Yeah. And I don't know which preacher said this, probably a dead preacher. It's best to quote dead preachers rather than living preachers, if you hadn't figured that one out. But I don't know which dead preacher said it. But he basically said, every time you have surplus, like your taxes, you get a refund, or the refrigerator you're buying wasn't going to cost you X amount of money. It only cost you, and you got money left over. He said, every time you have surplus, he said, the first questions you should ask is, Lord, who do you want me to bless with this? It's a great prayer.
Wow.
It's a great prayer. It really is.
Wow.
And what's so interesting is the three of us have surplus all the time. All the time. And I'm so glad I heard that years ago, decades ago, that you should ask God, what do you want us to do with this?
Surplus of time.
Everything.
Yeah, all the things. Yeah.
Everything.
Because it gets larger. And two, when you work on the right hand and the left hand not knowing what they're doing, it really makes you focus on your motive. Because a lot of times when we give or do, there's a motive behind it. Yeah.
Our intention.
Yeah.
And as pastors, I know you guys can identify with this. We're often conduits for the blessing. People will come up to you and say, hey, give that to that family and don't let them know, that kind of stuff. And I remember one time, very generous man in my congregation who's in heaven now. I'm wearing his watch that his wife gave me. Sweet, sweet family, great gift. He came up to me one Sunday and had a lot of money in an envelope. I guarantee it wasn't 20s. I didn't count it, but it wasn't 20s. And he said, you see that family over there? I want you to give that to them. I said, okay, I will. It was Christmas time. So I walk over to them and I go, hey. And they go, oh, so glad to see you. We want to talk to you. I go, really, about what? They stand up and they have an envelope full of money. And they go, we know there's a family in this church that's in a greater need than we are for Christmas. Will you find that family and give it to them?
Holy smokes.
And I go, under one condition. They said, what's that? And I take that envelope out of their hand and I said, you take this envelope. And they did, what? I didn't look. Their envelope probably had 5s, 10s, and 20s. This one had hundreds.
Stop it.
Wow.
Oh, and I handed it to them. And I take the other envelope and gave it, Lord, let me get it. The service starts and I'm watching them and they open the envelope and they are inconsolable. They cannot contain their emotion. And worship is over with and they come up to me and they go, why did God do that? I said, He loves you. That's not letting your left hand.
That's
right
the
hand.
best story you told.
Oh, come on.
That's powerful.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful?
Wow.
So I say this. I say we give out, the Macedonians didn't have surplus. So be careful there. They gave, even though, be careful on the surplus thing. But I don't have the gift of generosity, but I've watched generous people. When you're a conduit or someone who hands you an envelope and you see the blessing, you ought to go, well, I want to do that.
Yes.
I want to be a part.
I need to learn a lesson.
I
here.
need to learn a lesson here.
Yeah.
I need to learn a lesson here.
Man. To answer your question,
Yeah, I asked it.
we have, not everybody, but I believe that there's a number of people who have gotten blessing wrong. Because, me included, can I say I'll stand first? A blessing is not money.
Right.
I'm not saying it can't be money in certain situations, but that's the way we look at it. What God's really blessing you, what do we mean by that? Well, obviously your finances are in great shape, or you just got a new vehicle or whatever. I would not look for God's blessing in that arena. I'm not saying He can't use that. But what you will see, and how I know that something is a blessing from God, is it comes with a overwhelming breeze of peace.
That's it.
Such a
That's
good
the word.
That is such a good word.
And I can't quote the Bible. You're so good at doing that. But there's a verse in there that says the gift of God comes with no remorse, essentially. No regret. And that's what you'll see. And so that's what I look for. You say, what are the blessings? I don't know what they'll be specifically, but I know what they'll have with them. And they'll have peace with them.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
Yeah. And I think another blessing is joy.
Absolutely.
And satisfaction. What does it mean when the scripture says that, when you bring God's tithe to the storehouse, that He will open up the floodgates of heaven, right? And I've heard people talk about, that could be in relationships,
Absolutely.
in friendships.
100%.
Just God can bless us in ways that sometimes we have to look back to say that was God's hand. That this is God's goodness in our life. Yeah.
Well, let's remember what Jesus said to the Apostle Paul, and it's recorded in Acts. One sentence. It's more blessed to give than to receive.
I preached that just the other day.
And your statement of a breeze of peace or contentment or whatever, that's a great way to describe God's blessing.
And that's, we've said too much. We could have done an entire show on what we've talked about today. But one of the things that God is working on me right now and has been for several weeks is what we're talking about, is being more giving and less focused on finances. Because what I found and what He's revealing to me is one thing, when I start focusing on finances, one thing that always goes away. Peace. And I have learned over the last little while that really at the end of the day, what I'm really searching for, when you can't take it any further, you've ever done a root cause analysis or whatever, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get it to the lowest thing that you can't take it any further. And what I'm looking for in life, day to day, without question, is peace. And I can't take it any further than that. But I have for years, and what God's revealing to me, and I'm sorry if this is boring to you guys, but maybe it'll help somebody. It would have helped me. I tried to find peace through finances, and I still will catch myself doing that because we say, well, if you've got enough money, you can have peace because you don't have to worry about your bills. You don't have to worry about this. But God's like, I'm sorry, but you don't have to have money to have the peace that I want to give you. You just need to take it. And it's real peace. It's not fake. And so that's what that's the journey that I'm on right now, that God's really trying to bring me to a place of just taking his peace and not trying to get it through the way the world tells you that you need to get it through.
That's a road well traveled. I don't think you're alone in that road searching for peace. I really don't.
I want it every day. I want to wake up with it and I want to take it to bed with me.
Heard that.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm really looking for. But guys, you have blessed me. Speaking of blessing, you guys have blessed me today, and Lindsay as well. She was a blessing to have here.
She really was.
Cute
as could be, man.
But I've really genuinely, and I'm going to say this because they don't believe me, but I've been looking forward to this day. I told Randy on the phone when I called him, I said, Randy, I've been looking for the right opportunity. And you and I have had so many conversations, just wasn't ready. It wasn't God's timing, but I believe today was a culmination of God's timing, and y'all have blessed me.
Good word. Thank you.
Man, it's been awesome. I've received the blessing today.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We hope you guys have been blessed. That's going to do it here at the Hayden Alabama Podcast today. I'm Philip.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Randy.
We'll see you guys next week.